Welcome back to another episode. We have a familiar face with us today, Bianca Trevino. She was just on the podcast like maybe a month ago. We talked, it might have been longer, but talking about marketing and social media marketing, how to stay current. And some of you may have noticed that Bianca is now one of our speakers at our upcoming Austin retreat. So I'm super excited about this. And she is leading day 2. So we're going to talk about what you can expect from Bianca and all that good stuff. So thank you for your time, for being here. Both of us are all like snuggled up. We were talking about the shifting weather before we started recording. So we're both in our cozies.
It's always so nice and easy to chat with you. So I'm excited.
Yay. Oh, good. I feel the same. So, all right. So the theme of the retreat is like pursuing the dream, right? So day 1, we get to hear from Wendy Rivera, and she's focusing on the dream of the bride and our clients who approach us and how what their vision is for wedding planning in general, which I know you know this with your own wedding planning business. Of what clients come to us with when they start pursuing vendors and bookings, all that kind of thing. So that'll be the focus of day 1, is polishing up like that communication and the experience for the bride. What I'm really excited to talk to you about today is day 2, which is the dream of the business owner, or the dream of the seamstress. And I'm really excited to have you lead this because you took your wedding planning business, which was already successful. You grew it into like a multiple 6-figure business. And now you're leading a team of the Wed Strategy, and you're teaching other wedding planners how to do the same thing. So you've done the thing, you built your own business, you're ready to teach other entrepreneurs of how to do the same. So I'm really excited to learn about like the systems that you used to get your business to where it is. So I can't wait for day 2. So day 2 is going to be all about our dream as the business owner. And can you tell us like what that means for you, since you've experienced this?
Yeah. And I know you said like, what does that mean to me? And so obviously I'll answer that, but I also like to preface that like everyone is going to have a different idea of, the dream business for them, or even like their definition of success. And I think that's really important for people to remember, because I know myself, especially like when I first started in the industry, I think we all struggle with like comparing ourselves and imposter syndrome or things like that. And it took me a while to become comfortable with like, wait a minute, just because this works for somebody else doesn't mean it has to work for me, or that I need to look this way, or I need to do things this way. So I just like to like preface and disclose that. But
I'm glad you did. I'm really glad that you did, because that is also what is part of the experience of day 2, is like, hey, this is going to be for you individually. So, and not feeling that pressure of like, okay, well, did they have an expectation of me to have the same goals as my peers? And so I'm really glad that you prefaced with that. So thank you. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, good. So I have realized, and it's funny, it's kind of changed like my idea of success, and my dream has evolved since I became a mom 2 years ago, because just like your priorities change. And I actually didn't like grow up wanting to be a business owner. Like that just wasn't even on my radar. So naturally it's kind of evolved over the years. But for me, like being a business owner and the dream and the like, I guess, excitement of it all is I want to have freedom to do what I want when I want. I think it's totally acceptable if I only want to work 2 days a week, like if I'm working enough to like pay my bills and I'm meeting my client deadlines. Like if I want to take time off, or, I struggle with anxiety, and if I'm having a really high anxious day and I need to take time off, like I like knowing that I don't have to check in with somebody or explain myself to somebody. I do like what's best for me and my clients and my family. So that's a big thing, is just having the time freedom in general. It definitely very much used to be driven for myself, like a number amount. And I think once I hit that 6 figures in revenue, although it is very exciting, and of course we continue to strive for that, I realized like, okay, that just seems so, I don't want to say like easy, because it's not easy, but it seemed almost like, okay, I almost like wanted to push myself to be like, your goal can be something better. Like your goal could be something different than just monetary, like dollar amount. Right.
And I think also on the flip side, it can become this like, okay, you did that, so now you got to get to 250. Okay, now it's like $500,000. Like you can just almost like go crazy, taking it to the next level, like not being satisfied. And that's like another danger. So it's like really honing in on like, what is this for you beyond the money? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so it really just boils down to having that freedom and that flexibility and then being able to like have more time. Like there's sometimes that my daughter's only 2, so she goes to like preschool, but there's some days that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be out of town this weekend for a wedding. Like I'm just going to randomly keep you home today on a Tuesday.
Mhm.
And I just love being able to do that. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So I love how you're talking about like how the goals will fit different people, because I think about the list of women who've already registered and we just all represent just different lives. Like we all have our own specific goals. Like who are we working for or what are we working for? You know, my goal is different than like one of my friends who she's trying to build her business the best that she can to fit in with her homeschooling schedule. She's working to pay for the sports events and like, you know, hockey practice and things like that. And that's a different goal than mine, but we still are striving for excellence. So whether this is your full-time investment or whether like you are supplementing your household income, we can still do it to the best of our ability and receive the payment that's due. You know what I mean? Whether it's like a certain amount of revenue that we want to make, whatever that is, we still deserve to pursue excellence, you know, that's available for everybody, whatever your goal is.
Absolutely. And I think that is the beauty and the dream of a business owner is
Mhm.
like you get to decide what that looks like for you and for, your partner, your family potentially.
Yeah. So what will I mean, just give us a few teasers of what we'll be learning together in our session on day 2 with you. We have a couple, I think, booked. So
Yeah, I definitely want to help the ladies that are going like sit down and really think like what do I want out of this business, whatever it may be, and then working back to okay, how do I meet those goals, because that definitely took me a while of just, creating a vision board or like having what felt like an unattainable goal, but it's like how do we actually get there? And is it that
mhm.
we need to break things down that I literally do these things monthly? Is it like quarterly things? Do I need to totally revamp my client process? Like, I mean, and it's honestly what I do a lot in like my coaching with my, 3-month commitments with people is like, let's work
Mhm.
backwards. But I think it's also just perfect that this is in January. So we're starting off in a new year. I'm definitely a firm believer that you can start over any time of the year, but it's of course just like fitting. I think that it's the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
January, probably like slower season for majority of people. So you feel like you have the time to sit down. What's important to me? How do I reach these goals? What do I need to change in my life? Do I need to outsource or hire? Like putting that game plan together so that way you feel set up for success, that you can actually reach those goals instead of throwing a goal out there, but then there's no plan in place or anything that's attainable. And then you
Yeah.
feel bad about yourself because you didn't reach your goal.
Right, right. Or like, okay, I'm getting so excited because I was at this retreat with like my peers and we were all so jazzed. And then I get home and it's like, what, what's my
Yeah.
first step, you
Actually
know?
making it actionable. Like, yes,
Yes, yeah.
I'm all about
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. And I love how, because of like your coaching and who you've worked with, you know, there's no like cookie cutter way to do the things. Like there's different ways to get there. So that's exciting for me.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, because people's like location, if they have spousal support or not, if they have kids or not, like there's truly just so many factors that are going to change somebody's, scenario. And so being able
Mhm.
to work through that with them, and then maybe it's even multiple goals and like helping you also realize like long-term versus short-term goals. Like it's like, okay, if the long-term goal is to have this, what do we need to do before baby steps to get there?
Mhm. Yeah. Yes. I love that. And it's it just gives you a completely different outlook on what you're working with. Like it suddenly becomes tangible and you can envision yourself like, okay, I'm going to do this specific task instead of this like ambiguous line of tasks that I can't even imagine the first step of. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I
Yeah.
also find that, like, especially for myself, that when I have that larger main goal in mind and I'm going throughout the year and I start to get nervous, like, is my pricing okay? Do I need to change my offers or like, should I be tweaking this? Like, I go back to, okay, how does this align with my long-term goals?
Mhm.
Does this match up? So then it helps you, I think, make decisions more rationally of knowing
Yes.
like, okay, I've just got to keep following this, be consistent, follow that path instead of, making emotional or irrational decisions because bookings are slow or you
Mhm.
find like something's changed and you're freaking out. That's always kind of like a grounding thing for myself to remember, like, okay, no, like I'm still on track for my long-term goal, or yes, this seems difficult now, but I'm doing it because it's going to lead to this long-term thing. So
Right.
I think there's a lot of power and like self-discovery in kind of backtracking and working your goals. So I'm excited to do that with everyone and hear everyone's stuff.
Yes, yes, yes. And then, so what I'm excited for the afternoon of day 2 is we're going to have an opportunity to have like a tangible like breakout session. Cause one of the perks of all the registrants are, we have like a mastermind Facebook group that we'll be in before the retreat. And then afterwards we'll have, I don't know if we're going to do Voxer support or just stay in this little Facebook group. It depends if sometimes, when you're like in a routine, it's like, I don't want to switch platforms, but we'll be together for 6 months after the retreat, which I think is huge because then it's like, we were all there together. Like we know the terms if we bring them up or we want support about a specific thing that we're going through or talking through. But even with that additional support, like 6 months after, you can still go home and feel like, okay, I have all this information and like, I'm opening up the packets and like, I lost the magic because I forget what this meant.
Yeah,
Like, what am I doing with it? So we'll have a workshop opportunity to get a task done. And so this kind of goes back to, it's going to be different for everybody because some of you will want to like, okay, build your email sequence, or some of you will want to, actually sign up for this automated system that's available. And like, you'll have hands-on help where we can walk you through that. Or maybe you want to like build an investment guide or fix this particular page on your website to reflect things that you've learned or like your new goal or whatever, or create a vision board. So there will be a time for us to do a thing and complete the thing. And that is, I don't know, for me, that just totally builds my confidence when I just like complete something. And then it's like, my hands are on the laptop, like I've done the work, like, and then I can go home and I see like, okay, this is completed. How did I complete that? Like, I can still do this at home, So that will be like our Friday afternoon activity. And we'll also be in groups, in smaller groups, depending on where we are in our business. So you'll be with like-minded women who are like in the same stage, similar goals. They can give you, that kind of input too. And then of course I'll be around to help through that too. But I can't wait to see how it's going to be different for everybody, like things that you talk about, and then what's going to just light up something different in each attendee. You know what I mean? Like it's going
yeah,
to resonate differently with everyone. So that'd be kind of
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, I love that they've also got support 6 months after because I think there's so much value in community and
Mhm.
accountability to go back on and say, hey, I know we talked about this, like, what are you guys struggling with, or how are these things working for you, or even like, hey, I remember that somebody mentioned this resource, like, what was it, like, just
Yeah. Yeah.
go back because I mean, you constantly are working on your business, and that doesn't mean that you need to be working like till midnight, like 60-hour weeks, but we're constantly should be looking for ways to, like, is what we're doing working? Do we continue that? Do we need to improve, et cetera?
Mhm.
So it's nice to know that you can fall back on the group and kind of
Yeah.
re-energize yourself and refamiliarize.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think because I'm thinking back, a lot of us revamped just a few things on our website. And then it was like, can everybody give me feedback? Like, because you didn't want to maybe announce it to the world yet. You didn't want to,
Yeah,
necessarily share with your family because they don't get it. But it's like the people who heard the same training that you did and like, okay, am I applying this the right way? So that was really helpful for us. But okay, so I know you participated in in-person conferences or retreats, whether you've been a speaker or an attendee. And what is it that makes in-person events so cool? I mean, because I say that because now we do have so many resources. A lot of times they're free, right? Like on the interwebs, like through Zoom, through social media. And sometimes it's like, okay, why would I invest in this trip if it's like I could get almost the same content? Or that's the thought process, right? Like the same content online.
I think there's something invigorating about being in person. And I feel like the biggest takeaway for me after I go do anything like that in person
Mhm.
is that it's gives me so much inspiration, and it gets my wheels turning of like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, I hadn't thought about this. And the
Yeah.
motivation to like I'm fired up and I want to go and take action. And so I definitely love that they'll have time, like a block after the session, to be able to actually implement it. Because of course we can just dream all day and add things to our to-do list that we need to go back to, but are we actually going to do it and actually going to, take action? So it's just kind of that feeling that, yeah, I mean, I definitely sign up. I'm an education junkie. So like I sign up for all the webinars and all the podcasts. And of course they are beneficial, but they can only take you so far. And I do think that there's something to be said about when you invest in yourself and your business, that then it almost also builds a sense of confidence, I believe, because it's like, how can you ask your couples to invest in you if you're not willing to invest in yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And having like that dollar amount attached to it is like, okay, I'm going to get this done because I spent, money on it.
Right.
So yeah, I think it just gives you that sense of like taking action, quite frankly.
Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of magical. And even this goes back to like when I was like a music teacher, like choir teacher, and going to these like, nerdy music teacher conferences, and it'd be like, I can't wait to come back to the classroom and teach them this warm up or use this song, or like these resources that you don't know are out there. But there's something about like talking about it over lunch, or just like being with other people who get the jokes and get everything, without you having like go into the backstory. It's like just, yeah, like you said, it's invigorating. So just a little hint for those of you who are on the fence, like you won't regret it. It'll be a game changer. But okay, anything else that we should pack? I mean, also you're in Austin, a local Austin resident. So give us a couple fun things that we can look forward to just about Austin itself. Do we need to buy boots? Because I know some people who are already shopping for boots, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to make that investment because I can't see
Like
myself
cowboy boots
around here in Washington State. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to for fun, but honestly, like we don't really wear them. Like I in college, like when I would go tailgate, like I definitely wear cowboy boots, but like we don't really wear them unless it really is your style. But
Cowgirl attire is not a requirement. Okay, good
it's
to
not a
know.
requirement. Absolutely not. Also, because Austin is a lot more like progressive and unique than the rest of Texas. So it's probably like less stereotypical Texas than you would think.
It's still very much more Texas than where I'm from. So
Sure.
I may dip into that a little bit. I may
Yeah,
get I don't know.
you'll get lots of Tex-Mex, and you will hear country music. And yeah, I mean, there definitely will be lots of Texas nods. The nice thing is that I think majority of your group is coming from like north.
Mhm.
So it won't be very cold here. Like it'll be a little chilly, but it probably will feel nice for you.
Yes. And if it's
Um,
dry, bonus, because it'll just be raining up here till I leave. So I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it'll be like maybe need to bring like some light stuff, but it'll probably feel like a nice break for you guys because it won't be as cold for you.
Yeah, I'm ready for that. And also Bianca's helping us with the catering options.
Yeah, bring comfortable pants because you're probably getting lots of chips and queso and tacos. There's so many good like Tex-Mex food places. There's also lots of good like sweet places and coffee places. So just bring comfortable pants like
Okay.
that you
Bring our Thanksgiving pants. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because we have both days, we have little like field trips planned, which I'm going to run by you, our little tour of the area, because it'll be optional. I mean, if you want to take a nap, you can, but you're not going to want to take a nap. So you can this. Yeah. Okay. Well, I just got more excited. I hope our listeners are excited too. For those of you who have been on the fence and you're reconsidering, maybe is this for me? I don't know. You can head to secretsofabridalseamstresspodcast.com/retreat. There's a link in our show notes as well. And registration closes November 30th. So remember, we are closing early so that December 1st, we can start our mastermind for all of the retreat attendees. If you have any questions, feel free to, is it okay if they reach out to you too? Can I put you on our list? Okay. If you have specific questions about what Bianca's going to be talking about, you can reach out to her. Of course, my DMs are open if you have any inquiries before registering, but we hope to see you there. So thank you, Bianca. So excited. I can't wait to give you a hug in person.
Yes. See you soon.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and share this podcast with a friend. And if you're feeling really generous, leave a review. Thanks, everyone.